Welcome back. This is Feel Good Friday right here on New Day. And of course, we are live on Ebru TV. And being Feel Good Friday, we have a very, very interesting conversation. It's something that I know a lot of us ladies always want to find out. What are these men thinking? How do we understand them? Because I know as a lady, nikisikianga, oh, nyi ladies anga mnakuanga complicated, atujui kenye munataka, sijui what. It's, for me, I find it harder to understand a man. So I got the men here for a men's conference, tukae pamoja, to analyze. So we get to understand what exactly are the secrets to understanding what a man wants, what a man is thinking about, how to get them to actually open up, because I have tried. It is not easy. Have you? I want you to interact with me. Send me those paragraphs. Send me those experiences. If you are a man and you think there's certain things that maybe we as ladies do wrong in trying to get you to open up, in trying to understand what you're thinking, in trying to establish that common ground between men and women, let us know what nafanya nini right. Let us know what nafanya nini wrong. 0770-729-366 is my WhatsApp number. You can also call in live. Let us know in detail via 0115885797, which is our call number. All our call lines are open. Get into it. And of course, you can tag us all over social media at Ebru TV Kenya, except for Facebook, which is Ebru TV KE. What exactly do men want? Nanikona, the Kings of Men Conference. They have all the information, all the wisdom. They got it all. My goodness. Always feels good to have you on the show, by the way. Mi wanafurahia sana because I get to be endowed with wisdom. Yeah, most of the things that I find so hard to understand or comprehend. I learned Tanzania now with Fred.
Thank
Fred
you so
Obok
much.
is here. He's a counseling psychologist. Leo amevaa drip ya weekendi. Minawambia, if I was a man, I would be, yo sayako, kuna venye tu, ungeniachia hapa. It looks like money. It looks like money, my goodness. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Since you're clearly in weekend mode, how's the weekend looking like for us who are still in suits and official clothes?
I get you. All right. Just trying to shift to the mind that, of course, it's time to relax.
Yeah.
When there is a moment to relax, there is a refocus, there is a reset thinking, and, you get to see things in another dimension. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So that just grasp on a new perspective based on my relationship, approach of things, and also the environmental sensitivity that is so vital to the well-being of our society. Yes.
Unatupata tu hiyo mood ya weekendi. Me, I'm praying for the day I will see Samson Mung'athia, who's a transformative speaker, in jeans and a Manchester United t-shirt or Arsenal. First of all, which team do you even support?
I used to support Arsenal a lot.
Usijali hata mimi wa Arsenal damu kabisa.
But I'm bailing out.
Okay, nirudishe kugota yangu, just return it. Thank you.
Oh, you left?
No, I'm bailing out. I'm in the process because now they are not improving. I don't know for how long. So
Get into the field and play.
At times we talk about it, we say, associations also affect our moods. Eh? So I don't want to associate a lot with so many issues. Eh?
Of course.
But will we ever see you in jeans?
Yeah, of course we will.
Amazing.
I could have even today, but I think I got some other official things to do in the morning before I came here. So one day, one time, I will surprise you.
Yeah, I hope Davis Mberia will invite him for Fataki na Mikiki Pale Evo, which is happening later on today. But now back to New Day.
Yes.
When it comes to men, sijui kwanza natakanga tu kujua mnaongeleanga nini kwa hii men's conference, but since we're having our own over here, I think we'll have that conversation because at the end of the day, we ladies can't survive without men, and it goes the same vice versa. Men can't survive without ladies, but for that to happen, there has to be some level of understanding. And for people to understand each other, they need to open up. Number one, you were telling me about the way a man thinks. For me, when I look at it, it's like a blank page that I'm really trying to figure out what I'm going to write on this page, and it's not as easy. Fred, what does this blank page entail?
First of all, you need to understand the cylindricality of men, in that men get to focus on one particular thing at one time. Women are cylindrical.
Okay.
In that they can actually be able to think dynamically in different ways. When a woman is driving, she will quickly notice something on the roadside. When a man is driving, he is focused on the next car. And so in life, men are, cylindrical in that they concentrate. They want to achieve one particular goal. And that's why when a man single out a lady in the crowd, he will do what it takes to pick up that one. And you will ask what you didn't see the rest of them. It's just that they focus on one particular thing at the same time, right? Now, a woman will cook, be on phone, be taking care of the children, hanging on the other one on the shoulder. Men cannot do that. Men want to make up a focus on one particular thing. And that's why they want to have a recess by themselves, just to get to, recompose them by themselves and have the me time, so that out of that, they get to have a refocus that is directed to a particular direction.
Okay, but for that direction to happen and for us to understand where that direction is going towards, there's a way in which a man wants to be perceived. So when a man sits down and wants to be understood in a certain way, number one, you wanataka kuunderstandiwa aje, or how do you want to be perceived by a woman? Because the only way we'll understand how to have that communication is understanding your perception or how you want me to perceive you as a man. Unataka kueleweka aje?
I think one thing that is very paramount for men is, and ladies need to understand this, is man always protect his ego. That feeling of, I am here, I'm the one saying, I'm the one controlling, I'm doing this and that. So man, by nature, is a creature has been created to control, to lead, to take possession. And so when he is put in a position that he is not exhibiting or where he feels his ego is being threatened, then they tend to just lock up or to go silent. So one of the things that we need to understand is, for a man, how they want to be understood, of course, is different, because we are different in terms of personality, in terms of interests, in terms of all these activities. But in the mind of every man, the only wish, I wish this person could know what I'm going through, But at times we don't get to open up. We don't say what you're going through. We don't say, but like we were talking before we got to the show, that we assume that somebody can just look into our hearts, into our minds, and realize this is what I like, this is what I want, or this and this. So for a lady to understand that man, number one, you need to create an environment where the man is vulnerable in that they can speak out. Because the moment you give them the right environment, of course, you give the conducive environment, they are going to speak out, they are going to interact, they are going to be themselves real. Now, not the makeup that they show, but themselves real. And by being real, being open, and being closer to you, then you'll get to understand what the interests are, what they are at the core of the heart, what they hold very dear. Yeah.
And does background, in the sense that how a man has been raised or how he's grown up to be, influence the way he wants to maybe be perceived as a man? Is it different for different people who've grown up in different backgrounds, or is it just a blueprint that works for all the men in the world? Fred?
Great. I think, and that's built on the masculinity of a man. In that, when men are actually being brought up, you find that a man, just as sometimes I say that they protect of their ego, but also men are very significant in the way they look at things, the way they perceive on things is based on the way that they are brought up. Now, man, they're like a lion. You release them, they protect themselves. You confine them, they begin to behave in a certain way. And so, when men actually, boys are being brought up, they're told, man, enough, you don't have to cry, Yeah. So that makes man to not be emotional, but to be emotional.
What is that?
Men don't show their emotions inside. They cry inside. Their tears go in that, they're going through it, but they're persevering. They are containing on themselves. They don't lose it out. And that's why when a man goes through a sorrowful moment, it can take long for them to heal, because they don't really express it out, because they don't scream it out and show that, I'm getting through this. They don't cry, but they're feeling it on the inside. It's later then it gets on to resonate with them that, oh, what I went through is hitting me on this. And that's why you find a man breaking up with a girlfriend, and they say, you know what, it's all quit. Or there are women out there, but when gets onto the recess and sit down by themselves and now begin to ask themselves, you know, the importance, you know, begin to revalue that lady. And you know, she picks up himself and, you know, drives himself crazily, knocks the car and do all manner of things because he's trying to be emotional. He's trying to react on to something that has already gone. And so you ask, when did this happen? This thing happened 2 months ago. And you mean you're still going on through it right now? Because of that, you know, we are wired in to be like you can stand as if everything is right, even when it is not okay. Yes.
Okay, and that idea that maybe we have about men and how it's pushed towards, or a man should be strong, a man ought to behave in this kind of way, a man should not cry, and all these other ideas or external pressure that we as society put on men, how does it make you feel as a man? Do you think that the pressure is too much?
I will agree that pressure is too much because man is a product of many things. Number one is how they've been brought up. Number two, they're also a product of their culture. That's the environment they've been brought up in. And of course, number three, their education or their schooling or their learning experiences, you know, when you combine all of them together. So you find a man might have been cultured in a different way, but of course, based on how they have, the environment they are in, and maybe the schooling, the learning experiences they've been through, we tend to get to change at some point, or they get to change at some point. But those other factors held constant. Culture has a very, very huge role it plays in the life of a man because, like Freda said, you're brought up being told this is how a man should behave. This is how a man should handle their issues. This is how a man should do this and this and this. And therefore find this expectation that you have already been pumped with from a very young age does not give you room to express your inner person or your inner emotions. And therefore you stand to fit into the culture. Remember, you've been brought up in a society that want to fit in. And the quest to fit in, you find now a man become deformed to some extent in that they don't get to express themselves, they don't get to release what is inside them, but they have to study. Even when they should be sitting, they will have to study because the society demands that a man should be studying at this moment and doing this and this. So I think the culture plays quite a huge role in men being who they are and doing whatever they do as men because they have been taught this is how men behave, this is how men do, and therefore you should do it to fit in this culture.
Okay, and now there's a new culture, since you've brought up the aspect of culture, whereby women want equity. They want to be a part of the table. They want to be a part of the conversation. They want to have a level playing field in as far as careers are concerned and as far as having a voice is concerned. Now, the whole conversation about equity, is it doing better or is it doing worse for a man to express himself or opening up? Because now involving the woman on the table inamsaidia mwanamume kuwa now more expressive, or is it suppressing the man?
This one, I think I'll just look at it a bit cautiously. I look at it from both perspectives.
Yeah.
Now, number one, when we say women getting their voice, it's very okay.
Yeah.
They should be on the table. Remember, even if we go back to either creation, we talk about religion, we talk about a woman being a helper.
Yeah.
And not just somebody who is just out there or down there, but somebody who is helping. And when we talk about helping, it should be in all aspects. You know, helping is not about ironing clothes, cooking, and doing household duties and all these other things. It also comes to the finances. You know, we have had issues of people saying, I earn more, I earn less, I do this. So if she's your helper, she's your helper in every way, including thinking, reasoning, you're doing business, you're doing career, all these things. So that is a good part of it, bring women on board and then giving them their space to help, give them the room to help. But on this other end, it becomes toxic when we do it without involving men. Yeah. So we are empowering the child or empowering the women at the expense of men. Remember, it should not be a competition. It's not a fight of who is strong, who is better, who is out there, who is louder. It should be a cooperation. We are lifting this one without moving this other one down. So the aspect of how it has been done, you know, when we talk about feminism, whereby you want to lift one and then at the end of the day you are suppressing the other one. So the point should be you're bringing the woman at the table, but then don't put the man under the table. Let them just come together, talk, engage, and do all these activities at the same level on agreeing on an open ground, and then the society will move from there. But if we do it the other way, the way it is being done now, that we are empowering this at the expense of this other one, then we are creating chaos.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that is very well put and a very valid point. And part of ensuring that there was equity on the table is women who are strong enough to have that conversation. Do you think that our fathers, because when I see you, I see very strong men who have the capability to ensure that the men that we are raising in the next generations will still have that same voice and that same strength. Do you feel there's enough that has been done to ensure that the man is actually ready for the empowered woman? Do you think that there's more that men can do to pass over the mantle and ensure that the man is secure enough?
Little have been done. Because of the nature that man has always been perceived to be the dominant factor in the society. And so they are left up for nature to be able to mold them, make them, and be able to, have an execution of a perfect kind of a man. But of course, going on by the dynamics that are actually taking place in the society today, there's need for a redefining of the position of a man. Because as a man stands on as a voice, as a covering, as a prince, he is based on, is brought into a level of consultation and, agreement on one particular area before he executes his authority. And so this sometimes work a bit on the discord of a man in that they fail to proactively play their role while waiting on for the feminine side to actually be able to raise their voice on this. But I believe that based on the way we are actually raising on the men, in that there needs to still be reaffirmed, reassured, that even though the girl child has actually been empowered, but the position of a man still remains.
Yes.
Because the position of a man is very significant, in that even if a woman is a president out there, she remains a supportive element in a man's life. A supportive element, just like as Samson has said, is not actually washing plates and making of food. But rising on your position so well to an extent that a man does not need to be threatened by that position, but needs to fit in his position because he's being supported. It is important to understand that those men are strong, but they're weak. Because when women are created to be helpers, you don't help a strong person. You only help a weak person. But the discord is that when a person is weak but does not know that he's weak, it becomes a challenge. Because he will be pretending not weak. But when you're weak, you are vulnerable to the help. And so you are covered in the places where you are not strong. And also the same applies on to the women. In that on the same place that the women are weak, they can be able to be supported by men because they understand their position. But here is a case whereby a man will actually be sleeping on the wall and someone knocks on the door and says, tell the woman, go open the door. Because we share on the cool measure. It is automatic to get to understand your role and position in the society. That's why, if you find a woman is being beaten or being harassed, men will automatically, rise up and protect the woman. But if that happens onto a man, they will actually expect a man to man enough and be able to, because it's not just about physique, it's about the mental, ideological that you can actually be able to reason. We don't expect a woman to slap you. By the time he's slapping you, why couldn't you actually be spoken a language or an item that can actually be able to make this woman vulnerable and give in?
You've brought out a very, very important and valid point when it comes to how we respond to different situations in different genders, because we have men and women. When it comes to women, we're a bit more lenient, we're a bit more soft in that, she's a woman. We should be able to come out as men and help out this lady. But do you feel like that kind of mentality, that kind of expectation that, we don't respond to the same way when it comes to a man is actually putting the man down in society, is actually affecting the man in any kind of way?
I think not really, because again it goes back to culture and how we are being cultured and brought up. Because woman is, like Fred has said, they have their own weakness, but also men have their own weakness. But at the end of the day, how we look at women, whether empowered or not, at the end of the day, there remains, there is the element of nature that you can't change. There is part of nature that you can't do away with. And as far as you want to empower women to rise to this level, to do this and that, naturally, there is a natural way in that you can't equate them to men. So, and that's why you find the expectation of, we don't fight for men. Rarely will you fight for a man, because we expect them to do this, to
then
fight for themselves.
Then how do you strengthen the man in a time where there's a lot of pressure being put on him to be strong enough and he just isn't? How do you enable him to be strong enough to fit into that idea of culture that maybe we have?
Now, the basic way of helping a man in this case is helping them to understand his position, because I think the problem we're having with men today is that we don't understand our position. We have been brought up in an environment that is so confused that we don't know. Being a man, what does it mean? What should I do? What should I focus on? How do I handle these things? So basically, it should be about empowering men to understand themselves, understand their role in the society, and then letting them to understand how to handle pressure and situations and events that are awkward, because they will always appear. So we need to teach men how to handle these things, not just helping them or doing away with them or just keeping quiet about them. So it's about empowering man. For me, is about letting them know their position. Then give them the power in terms of knowledge, the ability, the capability to address these challenges that men face out there. So it's about letting the man know their position, their right position, and then equipping them to handle the pressure that comes with that position of a man in the society.
Okay. From your conversation, there is the generation of men who basically understand their position in society and are very strong enough to rise up to the occasion. But now we are raising a generation of men, as you stated, in a world full of confusion. Let's say you're having this conversation. Assume I am your son, and you're meant to have that conversation with me. Speak to me as your son, and let me know, what does it mean? I'm coming to you as my father, dad. What does it mean to be a man?
Now, to be a man, basically, I will say it means being responsible. That's the basic part of it. You have to be responsible. First of all, responsible for yourself. Responsible for your attitude, your actions, your plans, everything that you do, you should hold yourself accountable. That's basically should be the basic tenet of any man. Now, number two, this means also doing away with the blames. When in a society whereby we are teaching our children to blame everything on everybody except themselves. When they make mistakes, they do these things, they have flopped, they have failed, they have done this, they will always be blaming their father, their mother, their uncle, their whoever, and this other thing. So for a man, it's about manning up and taking the responsibility. It's okay, things were done wrong, everything went wrong here and there, but then I'm responsible for my life as a man. I'm responsible also for the lives of those other people that depends on me as a man, because at the end of the day, as a man, you could be a boy, a small boy, picking up a very young age, but at some point, people will have to depend on you as a man. So how do you give them direction? So number three, other than taking the blame, avoiding the blame, then number three is about focus. Where are you heading as a man? Think about your future, your destiny, your life, and what the future holds for you, and then start preparing for that future. Not neglecting the perception that the society has on you, of course, the expectation that the society has on you, and the troubles that are going around and everything around. At the end of the day, your future is there awaiting you, and it doesn't care how you're being brought up, what you're going through, the events that are happening. It's all about you focusing on it.
All right. As a man and as a son, I'm definitely convinced. I was speaking on your behalf, but I hope you have resonated with that. But now, Fred, when it comes to this conversation of love, we've looked at it from a very broad perspective. Now, we want to bring it to specifics, whereby there needs to be a man and a woman who are coming together to fall in love. And for them to fall in love, they're obviously the things that maybe I think about as a woman, I perceive and try to understand and try to look for when it comes to the man that I want to be with. But now, when it comes to you, maybe as a man, how does a man think about love? What is his idea of love? And how do you think about a woman when you think about the woman that you're spending the rest of your life with?
Right. I think three things come into play when it comes on to love. And of course, number one is the element of affirmation. Love affirms that you are my own. and, we are in their son together. A man wants to be with a woman who will affirm him of his position, but also affirm him that he's the only one. Men do not like to be compared, behave like other men, do like this, if you want to bring her down a man.
He's laughing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if his face is as ugly as, remind him that he's the only prince. He's the only mosquito in your net. In fact, I tell women to remind their men that they are the only contentious issue in their constitution. Without them, there's no referendum.
Wait, I need to write that down. I'm going to tell him today.
So, so a man needs to be affirmed. But of course, the other element is, what men want to be needed. They want to be needed. When a woman begins to play that, I can do without you, it makes a man begin to reposition themselves or be insecure. A man would not want to find the wife repairing the bulb. When he arrives in the house, don't just ignore and you concentrate with the kids and be in cooking. Get him a hug, even if he doesn't feel like he's responding onto that hug. He really appreciates it on the inside because he's affirmed, but also is validated that he is actually needed. So, men, so when they're looking at love, they're looking at beyond just the figure, beyond the eloquence, beyond the makeup. Will I be needed in this relationship? But of course, the validity of a man in a relationship, in the component is that, with the changing world, because men are they're forthright, but also the beginning and end in mind, in that things can change. One of the things that goes on in the mind of every man is, what does tomorrow really hold on for me if things do really change, Will I really have money the way I have it today? Will I have influence the way I have it today? Will I have the fame and the dynamics that I have it on today? But if those happen to change, will this still be the woman that I will be with? Because they want to look at, when a man is courting a woman, he's looking at this woman like, in my late 50s, I will not be as physique as I am.
Will she still love
me? Will she still love me? And so every other time that you behave, the way you present on food, the way you respond on to when he knocks his feet on the floor, the words that you tell him, makes him want to feel like, oh, come on, how will I be treated by that particular time? So those three things are so fundamental in a man that whenever they are looking, and that's why you find that there can be a beautiful woman besides a man, but he's not really into it because, he's looking onto those fundamental elements that will be able to build that relationship for posterity.
Yeah, you've talked about those fundamental elements. You've talked about how a man wants to feel needed, how he wants to feel affirmed. But why is it so hard for you to speak out what you need? Like, why can't you just tell me, yo, babe, I need to be affirmed, I need to be needed in this relationship, and I'll do exactly that? Why is it so hard for you as a man to just speak out these things?
One, I think men speak, only that they don't speak using words.
How do you speak then?
Of course, when I say men speak, only that they don't speak using words is, if you look at them, their interests, the gestures they show, how they conduct themselves while with you, the comments they make, there are those off-conversation comments that people make, I like this, I would like it done this way. So I think for ladies and this, because this is the nature of men are not created to be expressive. Generally, they are not expressive in terms of words, and because what it does is a man has been taught to be strong, to stand in the gap, to do all this. Now, the feeling is that if I open up too much, I parrot too much, then it makes me feel vulnerable. So at the end of the day, there is the concealing that I have to conceal. There is the silence I have to keep to maintain that figure or position of a man. So for the ladies, how you have to figure it out is just to get to read in between the lines, because this man will be talking. From the word go, when you meet a man, his likes, what he likes, his looks, how he appears when you're together, how he responds to events, the conversations that he picks, what he talks about, the topics, and all these things should be telling you this man is inclined towards this. But not the moment you expect a man to open up and come and tell you, this is what I do, this is what I like, it will never happen. They won't tell you.
But don't you feel it would actually be easier to talk about what exactly you want in an ideal society where we're not actually put on the corner to apply to particular constraints or apply to whatever pressure that we're told. I feel like as a woman, if you just tell me, I'd do it. Why is it not that easy?
Understand your game and score your own ball.
Well,
Love is a heart issue.
nimekosa hata space ya I've been writing everything you've been saying. My goodness.
And unless you understand your game, you won't score your goal. When it comes to men and their expression in love, it's important to understand that love is a heart issue.
Yeah.
It's only the mouth that speaks. Hearts have a feeling to express. When you see behavioral behavioral and character formation in a man that tends on to honor a woman, it is important to a woman to read between the line and get to understand that in this place, I am loved.
Yeah.
When you see a man coming home and fasting from work, and the first thing that he needs is food, it automatically needs to tell you that you're the best cook. All right? When you see a man buying your dress at the expense of buying his suit, it's important to know that this person values you. He will not tell you, you know, love cannot be spoken. Love can only be expressed. Many people, if you find them talking about I love you, they don't love you. All right?
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know, you know, we are in a culture whereby, you know, ladies want to be win by mystery, you know. And so, you know, a man gets on there and say, oh, from the top of your head to the sole of your feet, you're the only bling bling in my life.
Yeah,
you know,
you're the only mosquito in my net.
But men wants to express. And that's why when a man gets on, by the time a man's opened your side door, where you're seated as a lady, it means that there is something that is beyond the ordinary. But if you do it often, either that door is broken, or is actually begging you to come out of the car. Now, it is important to understand that it's on that expression that a woman needs to look between the line. How does this man express? Because you know what? A man is a lion. Everyone is actually paying on for his attention. Every woman out there is seeking for attention of man. So for them to forsake all those and actually seek on for you is actually an honor. So check on. How is he behaving? How is his character formation? And that's why there are some times that when men reach home, they switch off their phone. It's not that they're switching off their phone for their other girlfriend, but they want to make up a concentration. You, the one, speak, but also know when to speak. Don't speak when the news is going on, because those are some fundamental things that are actually going on in the house. You know, don't speak when the goal is being scored. You know, like you know, someone is just going to score, and then now is when you want to bring on an issue of the gas. The gas is over. You know.
Oh my goodness. But I think the point of this whole conversation and what I'm trying to grasp is the fact that we are very different.
Yeah.
We as women will want to blabber around and tell you every single thing. Even when a fly passes, I'll call you and tell you, babe, kuna nzi imepita hapa. But for a man, there's more of expression rather than verbally telling you. And how you know how genuine a man is to you is by how he expresses himself without even talking. But now, as we try to understand that, and ladies, I hope you're taking notes, because I definitely am. I know it won't be the same again. Yeah, so when it comes to this whole aspect of vulnerability, maybe, how does a man show that he's vulnerable? And what are some of the fears that maybe men have? And how do we, as women, complement in helping you work around your points of vulnerability, your points of fear?
One, like I said at some point earlier, is men are very vulnerable. And one of the most precious things to a man is ego. You know, how they feel, how they carry themselves. They want to be appreciated and know that they're acknowledged at all this. And the moment a man feels his ego is threatened, then they tend to pull back. You know, they pull out and they can't withstand it because it's natural. They want to be protected, to feel that they appreciated all this. Now, for the ladies can contribute to, or women can contribute to this building of this ego and supporting
maybe
this man.
first start with what women do wrong. What are some of the things that we say that actually tamper with that ego, and then now how we can correct what we do wrong?
So many, starting with what friend said here, you know, comparing him to other people. You're like shouting at them and behave like this, do like this. That's just one of them, how you treat him and trying to compare him with maybe with other men or other people out there. Then number two is also how you treat him maybe when you are alone or you are the two of you, how you talk, the conversations that you have. Do you shout? Do you, if he annoys you, how do you respond to the annoyance? Do you shout? Do you throw cups up and place the other side? You know, and then also when he is progressing, he's doing a project maybe, he has gone back to school, he's doing this and this. Do you support them maybe even through words of affirmation? Do you support them through that, or you tell them, no, you can't make it? If your husband says, I want to do this, and you're like, are you sure? Are you meant for this? You know, those just verbal talks. One is verbal talks, and then number two is also actions, how you act. You know, you may not tell somebody this is wrong, but how you respond, you know, your facial expression, what you do after they have told you I want to do this also matters a lot. And then another thing that I believe also women do wrong is, you know, trying to build expectations that are out of place. You know, you expect too much of this man, you expect too much, and this now brings a lot of pressure to the man that they feel they need to bow out, to move out because of pressuring them too much. Can't we build maybe a 5-bedroom house, whatever this size of a house? Can't we buy this kind of a car? And to find this man, because his resources are not up to that level, then again, they will tend, of course, to pull out, to feel neglected, to feel that their ego is bruised because I can't afford this, and then you're pushing me too much into it. You find all these things affect the ego of a man or affect how a man behaves in that relationship and how they are going to respond to so many other issues. Now, how do you do it? How should you do it? That should be the question. Point number one is, of course, don't compare your man with anybody else. Men are men, they are different. Each individual has their own personality, has their own character. And by the time you're approaching that man, or by the time he is approaching you and you're accepting that man, of course, you should have known their character, their personality, their traits, and all these things. Therefore, if you have accepted me as a quiet, silent man, I don't expect you to start expecting me to shout, to parrot, to do all these other things. So number one, appreciate them the way they are. Just accept the reality that their personality demands them to be like that. Then number two, don't put unrealistic expectations on the man or unrealistic pressure on the man. Grow with the man. You know, life is a journey. It's not a sprint that you wake up today and by evening you should be at the other end of life. No, it's a journey. So grow with that man, support him. Then number three, also support their vision. When they say we want to do this, we want to build here, we want to do this. Now, supporting the vision does not mean you fall for it blindly because, of course, men also make mistakes. You can correct and say, you know, this one is wrong, this one, I don't think this is right. But how you approach it, don't approach it from a commandeering position. You don't want to command, like, this is wrong, you can't do this. Of course, handle him, converse with him, and show him this is the way. Your vision might be good, but then at the end of the day, it's not achieving maybe our family goals, our family visions, and all these things. And then one last thing, of course, is be the last person that man wants to stand around or to be around with. Of course, offer the shoulder for him to lean on. You know, when the man goes out there, the world is so brutal. You know, they meet a lot of issues, resistance, rejections, and all these things. The last thing that I will expect as a man is to find rejection also at home. You know, I'm being rejected out there, being beaten out there, doing all these things around working, and then I come home and you want to treat me also like the rest of the world. So at the end of the day, be the last pillar of support that he can run to when everything else is falling apart.
Okay, wow, amazing. I think at this point in time we need to take some water because we have spoken and the wisdom is just overflowing. Tunahitaji kurelax kiasi. But I can see that you're also sending in your comments. Keep them coming. Naona Brian, naona Lydia, naona Prince kutoka Naivasha. Now we're checking yote and I'll be sampling out every single one of your comments. Immediately we come back after kunywa maji kiasi. So be sure that you stick right and stick tight right there. Don't touch that dial. This is the only place to be. We will be right back after the break. Anything and I will respond to you. We do not favor, we do not compromise when it comes to your feedback. But let's get into it. Kuna Brian Arnes kutoka Lang'ata anasema the show is very good and very motivating, especially for young couples. I hope you're taking notes. Mi utokanga na hizi makaratasi every day, and my man asks me, mbona ukujanga na makaratasi? What are you writing down? And I tell him, you know, you can see the change. You can see the difference. You can see the shift. And today, he will see the shift in the way I understand him. Now, na Prince kutoka Naivasha anasema nicheze wimbo ya Pop Smoke, Christian Dior Dior. Si unajua tu hip hop vibes kabisa. I got you. Kuna wasi wengine wamekuwa wakiniita Pop Smoke hapa hivi juu ya venye niko na bass, lakini it's okay. I'll give you the other Pop Smoke. Hi guys, I'm Lydia. How do you handle a man who does not have time for his family? After work, it's friends time. If you ask for time, you're now being disrespectful. How do you handle such a man? Where is the problem?
Well, I think something has gone wrong in between in the process because, of course, when they were starting out, that man was not as busy as that. So at the end of the day, we'll say this is just a signal of something that is going wrong somewhere. And this man, of course, being the nature of a man that we have seen that they don't express themselves using words. Of course, they express using actions again. Now, these are actions or red lights that should be telling you there is something that is gone wrong somewhere. So for me, the advice is first seek time. You know, when you're in good mood, both of you, sit down and talk. Now, bring out that issue from a point of when we're engaging just as a couple, not over the phone, you know, like where are you, what are you doing? Get to understand why the change of nature. Why has it changed from, of course, when you are dating or when you're getting together, he was so concerned about you, wanting to be around you. So get to learn from him during your normal conversation, your lovely conversation, and hear what's the point, what's the issue, why is he running away?
Yeah. Okay, so that is when it comes to shift in behavior. Just sit down, have the conversation, but have it not when y'all are arguing. Have it when y'all are in a good mood, as Samson put it. Kuna mtu ameuliza, why do men, and this one nataka tu Fred anijibu by the way. Haya, wacha nikuangalie kama vile huyu mtu angekuwa anauliza hapo alipo pale nyumbani. Why do men hate it when you try to advise them on their future plans? They think that you think they are stupid. Anaona ni kama unamuona ni kama hajui kenye anafanya.
Good. Number one, is important to understand the origin of man. Man is created to be the seed carrier. He carries the seed for the future, which means that he is the visional. He see beyond the ordinary. And so for that matter, when you advise a man, it needs to be on a complimentative rather than a criticism.
How then should I package that information when I'm telling a man?
That message actually should be packaged by, first of all, appreciating his role as a vision carrier. And then help him to understand, help him bring on board in a supportive matter, rather than, on a redirecting it. Don't redirect it. Get to understand the vision of this person and then complement it by, drip the vision. Because sometimes the vision can be so solid that it does not leak. Now, whatever you are actually advising needs to and solidify the vision in that it helps it on to drip. For example, babe, if you said you wanted us to build a 5-bedroom house, how is our saving plan? All right? He will pick up that rather than, if 5-bedroom house yako itakuja lini?
Whoa.
Because now get to understand, because when you bring it from authentifying the vision that he has, he see it qualitative rather than criticize, So authentify what he has, then build from where it is. Then
Awesome.
You'll be able to compliment.
All right, I hope you've gotten it to the person who was asking that particular question, because hakuwa ametuma jina lake hapo hivyo. Last but not least, we have someone who says, wow, the show is very fantastic and educative. Thanks to our psychologists of today's show. Mnafanya kazi mzuri sana. Mpaka ametuwekea tu emoji twa kupiga makofi na thumbs up. Thank you so much. Mnadhanianga mi tu kujanga na wahype tu na chachisha tu, lakini sio mimi kama yule pale nyumbani amesema hivyo, it means that you are indeed doing something right. Alafu mpaka Brian Ernest from Lang'ata ametumia picha yake pale hivyo, amepiga luku, amevaa kitenge nzuri sana. Thank you so much. We appreciate you massively, but we need to get back to the conversation that we were talking about. We've talked about the fears that a man has, and still there, I want to talk about this aspect of rejection, tumongelia vulnerability, in the way that a man is vulnerable, but he has a different way of communicating that kind of vulnerability. But there's this fear of rejection. Do men have it, first of all? And what exactly triggers that fear of rejection? And how does it hinder them from communicating or expressing themselves in a relationship?
I will say yes, a capital yes for that case.
Okay.
Men, in fact, I think men fear rejection more, if I were to rate it, of course. And that's what we find when, for example, because we're talking it from a perspective of a relationship, when a man is approaching a lady, of course, they love to scatter around. They can't, the people will ask, why doesn't he come out clearly and tell me I do this? I've had a friend of mine who was telling me that, of course, he was eyeing a lady somewhere, and for almost 4 years, he didn't express anything, but no, they were saying the behavior. The guy couldn't pick the call, how are you doing, good night, early in the morning, have you woken up, are you doing this? But for these years, he never said anything in between, of course, until the lady got off to another man, and he was left regretting. Wow. So I think men fear rejection a lot. To the best, to the highest level, men fear rejection. And to find this fear of rejection also makes them now behave in a certain manner, of course. They give up on some certain things because they feel if I approach this person, tell them about this and this and this, they are likely to reject. Now it goes back to the man ego or the male ego. If they feel you're going to reject them, the rejection, the first thing it does is that it deflates the man's ego. They feel belittled, they feel out of place. So they fear rejection, one, because they have an ego to protect, an image to cover, an image to show, a face to put up. So this kind of fear of rejection, now you find it also makes men bottle up. They won't express themselves because in fear of, if I tell this lady I'm going through this, even on matter of opening up and talking about their personal life, if I say I'm going through this, then of course she's going to read me in a negative way and reject me. Yeah. So to a great extent, fear of rejection shapes a man's perception of relationship and then his expression of either his love or his fears. Yeah,
but still on that, I want to stick right there with you. When it comes to this element of rejection, there's this species of the chromosome XX, us women, biology comes through right there a bit, who are termed as difficult, especially when a woman is a bit more successful in a career perspective or a financial perspective more than a man. But you find at the same time, women cannot survive without men. Anyone wants companionship. Everyone wants to be loved. At least I believe that. Now, this fear of rejection, doesn't it deprive men or certain men an aspect of maybe happiness that you could miss out on because you assume that certain women are automatically difficult or will tamper with your ego just because maybe they're a step higher?
Of course, it does a lot, and this one can be seen across the board. You find at times the ladies who are very successful either in their career, in business, in whatever the field they are in, they tend to either get married either late. Of course, there are other factors. That's not the only factor. But one of the major factors is that men fear, of course, if you approach this person, this is not my class, this is not my type. So you find it deprives the man the opportunity that you could have had, because at times it's a matter of perception. I perceive if I approach this person, they are not going to listen to me because of the stereotypes that I have. Maybe they are not my class, they are not my position, they earn more, they do this and they do that. So to a great extent, to find this fear of rejection also deprives man happiness, as we have said. It also deprives man the opportunity, because you never know. That person you're fearing to approach maybe could be the better half that you are to have. Maybe that lady is not as hard as you might think. So you find it closes out so many opportunities that you could have gotten. So to the men out there, move out. If you're rejected, you're not the first, you'll not be the last. Don't lose out the opportunities because of fear or based on perception that you've created in yourself.
Okay. That is very, very important. I can hear my phone buzzing. The feedback is a lot. And I think we should do this. Let's tackle the feedback first. And maybe if you agree back at home, we can have a part 2 of this if we're unable to cover everything, because this is such a very wide topic and we can't just cover it in one sitting. So twende kazi, will be exchanging atajibu moja, and let's see pali tatufikisha. There's someone who says, wow, I love the show. Aki, you guys have helped us solve okay, you've helped someone. You're more than mentors. This is for you guys. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Clapping for you very loudly. Hi, Ibru. Brandy in Milimani. Hi, Brandy. I'm engaged to an army man. He keeps saying, namchezea na wanaume wengine, and I'm not. I put male cousins or uncles as my DP. How should I go about it? Number one, there's problem number one here. Anaeka uncle zake, anaeka makuzo, kama DP pale hivyo kwa WhatsApp, alafu mandem anakasirika hapo hivyo because number one, he's very far from her because he's in the army. And now anaona that, you know, you're cheating on me. Where exactly is the problem and how should Brandy go about it, Fred?
I think for me, Brandy need to understand that one of the greatest pillars that are very significant in a relationship is synergy. A synergy is an aspect that we can partner beyond what any other person see out there. And just as you had said that for success to be in a relationship, there need to be a vulnerability. When we're partnering with you, we do not want to see others partnering with you more than we do partner with you. So we want to see an intense synergy that I'm the only one. If I'm not, then I'm out. All right? So when you're trying to build on synergy with the rest of the other people, then I'm out. So Brandy need to narrow down the synergy to the one person, all right? Because I don't understand what the relatives are coming on. Even the good books say, for a woman and a man shall live and cleave, you know? So once you've made a decision, cleave. Don't attach yourself to many other things. It will jeopardize the intensity but also the synergy between the two of them.
All right, synergy is very important. Mark kutoka Donholm anasema tumcheze Alan Walker ya Faded na tumayo walio pali nyuma wanafanya kazi na playlist, and we'll see about that. And then there was this aspect of when you advise a man on his future plans, but now there's an addition to it. He does mess severally without learning, then after failing, ndo anarudi kwangu for support. How do I go about that? Because I'm advising you, you're not getting it, you go and do it, you go and fail, and then you come back for my support, but I'm only human.
I think one, to the person who is going through that, you need to understand your man at first. By understanding your man, of course, you realize we have individual differences. At the end of the day, we are all men, but then we have individual differences. So first understand your man in the sense that why does he not listen to you? Of course, there could be some underlying reasons to it. Either maybe from past history, they have been there, they've been misadvised, or they trusted somebody with some information or knowledge, and then they didn't come through for them at that point. But that notwithstanding, it goes back to what Fred mentioned about how you approach the whole issue of advice. Now, one, open yourself to that man. Of course, be open. Because if you're approaching the man in the sense that you're going to advise him, but don't seek advice from him, then it becomes, again, quite fishy. He won't trust you. But if you are open in the sense that you seek advice from him, and genuine advice for that case, you're not doing it just for the facade or for the show. Mm-hmm. If you're open to that man, you seek advice, just engage him the more, not only on his side, but also on your side. So you find with the time, he will now start opening up to you because he learns that, so this person also relies on my knowledge, on my wisdom in doing this and this. Engage him in your own successes. Don't only bring yourself to his failures. So engage him in your success, mm-hmm. and then from there now you can attack his failures.
Okay.
I think also it's important to, in a relationship, also to do environmental impact assessment.
What is that?
Create an environment that, you know, by the time a man comes to you and report a failure, they are disgruntled within this person. And they are feeling bruised, jeopardized, and dejected and rejected. Now, create an environment. First of all, put up a system that will make this person feel authentified, but also honored and, built up. So when he's expressing himself, he knows that where I am expressing himself, whatever I say will not be used against me.
I will not be judged.
I will not be judged by this.
On May 5th, 2020,
Yeah, oh yes.
said this,
Now
this and that.
that's what a man don't like, And you find that even when you see our parents and our grandparents, they knew, don't correct a man when he is not in a position to be corrected. Yes.
What's that time exactly? When is the position that he's not able to be corrected?
That's why I'm saying men are emotional. There are times to correct them, There are times to bring on those vibes. And you will be able to learn. Men are dynamic. I cannot be able to give today that this is how to correct a man. There's no book for that. But there is a way that you can create an environment. Why can't you just take a walk? And, call him with a name that when you call him, you feel like there's a stereotype that has taken from the sole of his feet to the top of his head. And it feel like, you know what, I am here for you. And say, start by clarifying, when you did this, what did you really mean? Yeah. What was your outcome? Or did I get you right when you said this? He will get an opportunity to explain it. Yeah. And when he's explaining it and then you are affirming it, from there you are actually building a direction towards a particular...
So it's how you go about the information, not attacking head on because you're not at war.
Yes.
You're just bringing out it in an aspect that you're, of course, affirming his position and affirming his emotional standing. Okay, we also have Mary Mina from Nakuru. Guy, mwadhani, ni mingi? Anasema, how do you know when a man is actually lying to you or hiding things from you when he doesn't even communicate to you? Still on you, Fred. This was yours.
When a man lies to you, men are very vulnerable. They are open. When men begin to be insecure around you, there is something that is wrong. Because they are actually they're supposed to express themselves. Now, when men begin to get irritated around you, there could be something that they're actually showing that someone is actually giving them a better playing ground than you are. How does your man respond to your comment? Not all the time, and I'm not saying that now begin to look at your man critically and say, how did you respond? Then if you respond negatively, then you have a female friend. But of course, when they're so much insecure, I counsel a man who goes to the bathroom with his phone. And here is a case where a phone has rung, and there's the soap all over his head, and he has to come out of the bathroom and you bring it on. And, when there is that intense of insecurity, then there is something that is amiss. And I would rather spend more time on solving out the mess rather than getting to know how do you know when your man is cheating you? Because you will definitely know when he's cheating you. But what do you need to do? Because, whoever is asking on that question is asking on so that he proves what he's actually been suspecting.
Because
yes. But what I would like to, as a counselor, is sometimes good to give a solution. In that, please create a platform of vulnerability and of grace, whereby you can be able to communicate even the sensitive and pertinent issues that are so affect your relationship in an environment that someone does not feel judged, but also does not feel screwed out.
Okay.
Yes.
We have Joyce from Baringo, and some other show is very interesting. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Ebru, Mercy, all the way from Eldoret. Actually, it's my first time tuning into this afternoon show, and I'm loving everything. We're loving the fact that you are indeed a part of the show. Welcome to the familia. In case autujui ni Aziza, uni Samson, alafu uni Fred. Sawa, thank you. You're welcome. Hiya. Moving on swiftly, there's someone who says, hi, I'm Caro from Nyeri. How do you handle a man who seems to act serious all the time? Yes?
Well, that's quite a unique question. But one thing that I can read from that, it means they are not very close because, of course, maybe she could be eyeing somebody or suspecting somebody somewhere that, of course, but they're not so close. Because I'll tell you this. For example, personally, I'm very serious. Anytime I'm out there, I'm doing my things, I'm really focused on this. but like Fred said, it's about being vulnerable at the end of the day. So if you see a man who is so serious and doing all these things, they are only serious out there. Once you get to be intimate, you get to learn each other, you know, you open up, like I said, and you create an environment where you can open up. You find no man is serious in an intimate relationship. They will always open up. They will always be a way of communicating. But if you are just viewing somebody out there, of course, you'll create the perception of they are very serious because they are very serious doing their work and doing all the other things they are doing. So the issue is create an environment. If it's your man, of course, or it's somebody you are dating or somebody you're having a relationship with that you're considering taking to another level, create an environment whereby they are vulnerable, they can open, they can speak out, and create that sense of confidence in that they know if I tell you my secrets, my failures, my weaknesses, you're not going to exploit them. Once they feel secure, of course, it becomes natural now. They just speak out.
All right, so the last
one sentence in
then
that.
give
It's
us
also
that one.
good for women to be intelligent. Avoid the obvious.
Okay, that's too harsh.
What am I saying?
Yeah.
Stop discussing about clothes and cooking and children when you know that this man loves football and business.
So how do I start knowing
Chip
about
in.
football and business if that's
Chip
not
in
my
into some
lane?
soccer. Just say Cristiano Ronaldo plays for Chelsea, even if you don't know. And at least that will begin a conversation, and he will correct you that he does not play for Chelsea, he plays for another team in Italy, and at least will make that person smile. Discuss on politics, if he knows that he's a Baba man, bring a joke about Baba. Don't only just talking about, our children go to school, our house, we need to buy new chairs. Come on, before we buy new chairs, you need to get to know that life goes on. And that's perfect.
So developing interest in what you are interested in as well.
At least that will cause a smile.
Okay, so leo niongele Manchester United. Thank you. Okay, sawa. So in summary, as we finish, maybe closing remarks from you, Samson, and then we finish with Fred, and then we call it a weekend.
One, I start by saying that a man is an enigma. An enigma is something that is so hard to understand and to explain. And therefore, also, every man is unique in their own way. They are distinct in their own way. Therefore, for anybody out there seeking to understand a man, number one, I'll say there is no one piece for all. It's not a one-piece cut.
I've been told that we're literally being chased off studio. So one last word.
One last word. Go out, seek your man, interact with them, create the environment, and then pick it from there.
3 words.
Men are emotional. If you don't move with them, you will cause commotion.
Okay, just write that down and let's call it a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for engaging with us. And thank you for sticking around for the last 2 hours. I hope you definitely have enjoyed it. It is the best way to usher in the weekend right here on Ibru TV. Tukutane next week, same time, same place for Youth Culture Tuesdays, Feel Good Friday, and Lifestyle Thursdays, as we always do it right here. Kama Kawaida again. My name is Aziza Hashim. We were with Samson. We were with Fred. Always super amazing to have them in studio. Join my baby girl, Winnie Lubembe, at the top of the hour for the 1 p.m. news. But for now, we wish to weekend in Gemma. Have yourself a lovely weekend ahead.